Hello and welcome back. Today in Game Maker Studio 2, we will be making use of some sounds into our game. So what we plan on doing is having at least 2 sounds added. They're not going to be great because they're recorded by me, but it'll show the concept so that way y'all can implement these into the game. I want to be able to have a sound for every time I fire and every time I kill an enemy. Right now, the entire game's silent, so let's try to add some sound effects. So I'm going to go into my sounds, right-click, create, sound. From this view, I'm going to give it an appropriate name, SND, short for sound, and I'm going to have this as SND kill. I'm going to select no, wrong button. I'm going to select this little button here. This is to choose our sound file. You have to create a sound file either as a .wav, .mp3, or another type. Ideally, you would do a .wav. Those are better for us to use. These are MP3s just because that was what I created as, but I would recommend if you can create .wav files or use those sound files for these smaller sound effects. If you're going to have something like music playing in the background, that's where you'd want to use an MP3. So I'm going to use this kill sound. And if we press play, you hear this little sound. Now mine kind of stretches out long. I need to clean it up a bit, but you get the gist of it. It makes a sound that sounds like something got hit. So that is the sound, as simple as that. Just selecting it. There'll be a lot more work on your end actually creating the sound, but that's for you to figure out. I'm going to create another sound while I'm here. Right click, create sound. This will be SND underscore Q. This will represent the sound that is made anytime that I kill an enemy. So or not kill an enemy, shoot a projectile.
Cute.
Nothing fancy, fairly simple. I now have 2 sounds in here. Let's go ahead and create the code for these sound effects. So first up, we want to go into our enemy code and add in 1 line. Let me zoom in for y'all. Audio underscore play underscore sound, open parentheses, and SND underscore kill, comma. This specifies the priority. If you have a lot of sounds going on at the same time, this ensures which one gets played on top. We aren't having that many at the moment, and we're leaving it at 0. Higher the number, the higher priority it has. Then whether or not this should loop, we don't want this to loop, so we close it off at 0 and semicolon. So now, anytime I kill an enemy, it'll play this little sound. Let's build it up and see what happens. So we saw the sound happen, but it was the exact same sound. Maybe you're going to get bored of that at some point. So we do have the option to do audio underscore sound underscore pitch, referencing the sound that we have. And so each time it's played, rather than it being played at the exact same pitch, we can randomize using a random range and pick a sound between, or a pitch between 0.6 and 1.5. And 1 more parentheses. So this will change the pitch of it, so that way it sounds like a different sound for us. It'll make it slightly more bearable whenever you're playing this for a long time. It's a little bit more engaging if you're not hearing the exact same thing every single moment. So let's go look for an enemy. As you can see, we've got several different sounds coming out because of the variety. and the pitch. You can play around with those numbers until you find a nice middle point of what pleases you. The next spot we want to create a sound is, let's go over to our object player and let's go down into the code for the section whenever we create the projectile. So we want to create a noise whenever we fire the projectile. So let's go ahead and in the section where we mess around with creating the new instance, let's go ahead and have audio underscore play underscore sound. And this will be SND Pew 00. Now I know I want to change this pitch, otherwise I'm going to go crazy because of how often we're going to hear this sound. So changing the pitch right before for SND underscore Pew, let's go ahead and set a random range. So 1.0 and 1.6. I want this to be higher pitched than normal. Otherwise, lower pitch kind of would sound a little weird to me, but you can play around with it, whatever you like for your game. But if we go back to our sound for Pew, that's kind of loud. If that pitch is raised, it's gonna maybe be a little bit unpleasant. We're gonna be hearing the shots go off regularly as we play the game. So I want to reduce the audio for this file to about 0.2. It's a lot quieter. That way it's in the background rather than us hearing it constantly. So if we play it this way, now that we've changed the pitch to raise it a higher pitch but lowered the volume, this is a little bit more bearable. You can play around with it to see what audio settings you find the most enjoyable. You may end up wanting to play around and add more audio sounds at different locations. It's up to you, your choice. This is your game, however you'd like to mess around with it. But that's our little lesson on adding sounds in, playing around with the concept of changing the audio sound and pitch, and actually playing the sound. So make sure you implement this code. First, we covered inside the enemy, whenever right before the instance is destroyed, what it's supposed to do. And then back over with our player, every time we create a projectile, what we do there. So if you have any questions or need any assistance, just let me know in class. Otherwise, that's all I've got for this time. Have a good one.